In the popular Science Channel television show Mythbusters, they have a crash test dummy, which they lovingly refer to as Buster. Since we do a lot of testing here on the channel, I thought we could use our very own Buster, so today I'm happy to introduce everybody to Crash Test Tay. He doesn't have much of a personality, but he is down for anything and will always take one for the team. So without further ado, let's get this video started. Hey guys, Tay here, back with another Ironsight gun review. Before we get into this, I want to apologize for my absence for the last week or so, and I'll explain a bit more in detail at the end of the video. I've had a bit of a medical issue, which made it rather difficult to talk, and I might still sound a bit funny, so go ahead and drop your comments down below, make fun of me, or whatever you gotta do. But it's been entirely too long since my last upload, so here we go. Today we're going to take a look into the SMG class with the MP7A1 vs the PDR-C. Now in a side-by-side comparison, these two don't look anything alike, but don't let that fool you. They're actually quite similar. As we take a look at the statisticals here, we can see that the PDR-C has just a little bit more range with a bit less control. Other than that, they're very similar weapons, though one looks like it came straight from space. I have two things I want to mention about these two. One is their ammo capacity. Though both of them start with a 30-round magazine, only the MP7A1 can get the extended magazine attachment, bumping it up to the 40-round magazine. The second thing I would like to throw out there between these two is that only the PDR-C can use the laser sight attachment. Now, there has been a lot of speculation as to what the laser sight actually does, and to be honest, it's not much. It does nothing statistically. It's one of those items that's somewhere between cosmetic and functional. It does look pretty cool, but it also lines right up with your iron sights, so if by some reason you're playing with your HUD off, it works really well to help you line up your shots. I'm not entirely sure that I would use up one of my attachment slots with the laser sight, but ultimately it's up to you on how to spec your weapons. Another quick thing I want to run through are their iron sights. Both of these weapons have great iron sights in my opinion. The PDR-C sights remind me a lot of the AK-12s. Really great sight picture, clear and not cluttered at all, it just works great. As for the MP7, I've pretty much always liked the iron sights in any game that I play. When I get a chance to use the MP7, I just leave their sights alone. As for this game specifically, I'm kinda missing those three traditional dots that you'd expect to see on an MP7. Sometimes they're white, other times they're green, but generally they are there. In the case of Ironsight, however, I just see one white dot in the center. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, it's just not what I prefer. With that being said, I still use the MP7's iron sights. I feel like with either of these weapons, you really don't have to use up one of your attachment slots with the sights unless you have a serious issue with one of them and you just can't use it at all. Let's go look at some comparisons. Now this is just the stock weapons without any attachments and me controlling them to the best of my ability. They're pretty equal when it comes to their spray. Now keep in mind, both of these weapons are way more accurate when you ADS fire. However, since these are SMGs and most of the time you'll be using them, you'll be hip firing at the closer ranges, that's how we're going to be testing them, for the most part anyway. So we've tried out the stock weapons, and neither are really that bad when it comes to recoil. Now let's try it out with the compensator. And let me remind you real quick that the compensator helps to reduce your upwards recoil, making your weapons a bit less jumpy and more controllable. So as you guys can see, I was able to put my magazine into a little bit smaller of a pattern than with just the stock weapons. And finally, the last attachment I want to mention with these two is the silencer. More times than not, when I hear about the silencer, I hear that it decreases damage. Now, I really wanted to test this out. Since both of these weapons perform really well at close quarters, I thought that both of them would do really well with a silencer. So let's take a look at the stock MP7. And for this test, we won't be running through the PDR-C as well. They both have equal damage statistically, so it really doesn't make sense to run through both of them. But as you can see, it took 5 shots to kill Crash Test Tay with the stock MP7. Now let's take a look at the silenced MP7. And as you guys can see with your own eyes, it also took 5 shots with a silencer. At first, I couldn't believe this, but I've ran this test multiple times from multiple distances and the outcome was exactly the same every time. It takes the same amount of shots to kill somebody with a silencer as it does with the stock variant of that weapon. So for me personally, I really enjoy using either of these. I feel as though the PDR-C is a little bit better at the further ranges with the ADS, whereas the MP7 is the close range spray king. As for attachments, with the MP7 I really liked that extended magazine. It helped a lot when dealing with multiple combatants. Along with the extended mags, either the silencer, compensator, or modified rifling worked really well depending on your playstyle. Now for the PDR-C, there isn't quite as much freedom to choose attachments. I personally wouldn't recommend the laser sight unless you're really into them and you use them on all of your guns in every game, but for me personally, the attachment of choice for the PDR-C is the modified rifling along with the silencer. That modified rifling allows you to do a little bit more damage at the medium ranges, where that silencer manages to keep you hidden. Now, if the recoil is a little too much to handle, you can always switch out the silencer for a compensator, but remember that you cannot have both the silencer and compensator equipped at the same time. Well, there you have it, guys. I personally enjoyed using the MP7 a bit more, but what do you guys prefer? Are you guys fans of the MP7 or the PDR-C? Let me know down in the comments, and maybe why you prefer what you do. I'm curious to know what your opinion is on these two SMGs. Maybe there's something I forgot, or maybe something I left out. Maybe there's a reason why you like the PDR-C better than the MP7. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here and get back to work on the next video. Have a great rest of your day, or night I suppose, depending on which part of the world you're in, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later! Gotcha! Okay, we're not leaving quite yet. At the beginning of the video, I told you I'd get around to explaining my absence for the last week. And like I mentioned, I had a bit of a medical issue. What I left out was that the right side of my face swelled up to about twice its normal size, making it very difficult to speak. And since I couldn't really talk, I couldn't make any videos. Alright, let me break it down for you guys. I woke up one morning and I had a bit of a toothache in my top right canine. Now, to me, I didn't think too much of it, and I just assumed that it would go away or take care of itself, because that's generally how my body works. I'm a pretty healthy guy, and my body generally takes care of itself when something's wrong. However, the next morning I had woken up, my face looked like this. And I know I've been notoriously bad at showing my face, so you really don't have much of a reference as to what I would look like normally, but I assure you my face is not supposed to look like that. So, even though a lot of the swelling has gone down, it still hurts like a bitch, and I still sound kind of funny. But, you know, the show must go on, so we're going to continue making our videos and continue with our regularly scheduled programming for you guys with our Ironsight videos and game reviews. And I really do want to apologize in advance if the next video or two sound like I'm a super fat kid shoving cake in my face. Alright guys, so with that being said, I want to thank you again for your patience and apologize for the lack of content and wish you all a fantastic day. Alright guys, I'm out of here. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you in the next one. Later!